Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Risk Takers Dream Makers live interview series. I'm Andrea Kiesling, the co-founder of the Risk Takers Dream Makers Project.
And I am Ann Barwick, owner of A Strong You Leadership and Personal Development Coaching, and co-founder with Andrea of the Risk Takers Dream Makers Project, which we love to focus on passionately purposeful women.
Yes, we love sharing and celebrating these stories of everyday women who are living the dream in hopes of inspiring others to follow their dream too. These talks are designed to be interactive, so please feel free to join the conversation and just let us know that you're here.
Yeah, I'm going to give everybody a minute to join since we kind of jumped on a little bit early, and give people a chance to show up and meet us. At the same time, I'm going to look for us going live on my Facebook page. So yeah, when you jump on, we love to hear where you're from. I love to hear the weather. If you've seen me talk before, I'm just always curious about weather.
I think it's rude that you should say that with someone from Chicago here. I think it's just really rude.
Rude. You don't want to have to think about the weather, Lisa. Well, we are having tornado watches here. This is the third time I've gone Facebook Live with tornado watches. So just add a
Maybe
little
Live attracts tornadoes. Just saying.
Maybe. I don't know. We're stirring things up.
45 and rainy here in Chicago if you're looking for a weather forecast, okay?
Oh, goodness.
Exactly.
Well, yeah, it's rainy here, so, but are you done with the snow, Lisa?
One never knows. We've had snow in May before, so I would not rule it out at this point. We had a Mother's Day weekend, so this weekend could be a snow weekend. Who knows?
Who knows, right? Yeah, I mean, honestly, it was 81 degrees yesterday, and today it was in the 60s here. So who knows? Who knows?
Going off a little bit.
Okay. Okay, again, we'll just start out. I'm going to let Andrea tell y'all a little bit about Risk Takers Dream Makers, and then we want to officially introduce our special guest speaker today, Lisa Kaplin.
Yes. All right. So again, the Risk Takers Dream Makers is a project that Ann and I created to share and celebrate stories of everyday women who are living their dream. And it is our hope that from the inspiration from these stories that other women might be inspired to go after their dream, maybe take a risk or two if it's necessary. Just be intentional about the trajectory of your life. And we want to support you in living your dream too.
Yes. It's been a phenomenal project to work on with Andrea, and we have met so many incredible risk takers, dream makers through this project. And one of them that we'd love to share with you today is Lisa Kaplin, who is a psychologist and a certified coach. And actually, Andrea and I are both certified coaches, and we went through our training with a group called IPEC, and Lisa was one of our trainers. So she's definitely near and dear to our heart and our profession at this time. So welcome, Lisa.
Well, thanks, you two. Good to be here. So nice to see you both.
I'm going to throw you a little bit on how about a speaker view and let you just kind of tell the world, like, what's your story? What makes you the risk taker, dream maker that you are?
Right. It's funny, calling me a risk taker. I consider myself like a true scaredy cat in almost every aspect of life. Like a spider throws me over the edge. So risk taker seems like an interesting title for me. I would say I followed the path that was really suggested to me for most of my life. Like when I went to college, be a business major, I've never lived outside of Illinois. I've barely lived outside the Chicagoland area. So I really followed this path, and going to school to get a doctorate in psychology was really a huge leap. First, I got a master's degree, and then I went back and got a doctorate. I had all three of my kids at that time. And probably the biggest risk for me was to keep going, to keep saying that I'm going to do this. I'm going to push myself and go do something that I was so excited and passionate about. And then I worked in the psychology field for a while, and then I got like I started to feel like I wasn't following the path that others wanted me to feel, of being a stay-at-home mom with my 3 kids. A lot of people in my community did that, and I think that's lovely. To be honest, it wasn't exactly what I wanted to do, but I did what I thought I should do and what I thought people wanted me to do. And it really, I went through a few years of really feeling disconnected from who I was and my strengths and what I love to do. I love being with my kids, but they went to school, they had their lives. So a few years in of this, and a good friend of mine who also is a psychologist went through IPEC coaching, and I called him one day and I was really down really felt disconnected and felt like I wasn't being the person I wanted to be. And I said, I've kind of lost my clinical skills at that point. And he said, you should go do this coaching thing, and you'll kind of re-energize yourself emotionally, but you'll also get some of your clinical skills back. And so I went into the coach training program, which was a huge leap for me. And I wasn't comfortable with a lot of it. It felt a little touchy-feely for me. I was kind of like, what is this? Is this a cult? It's not. And then I just started to evolve and started to realize that I had put myself on the back burner for most of my life. I think a lot of women do that. And then what ended up happening is I fell in love. I fell in love with coaching. It just fit my who I am a little more. I believe in therapy, but I just like coaching so much more for me. So in 2011, I finished my coaching program. I started my business right away. And about half my time is spent coaching individuals, groups, teams. And the rest of my time is spent doing trainings or talks for IPEC. I do some training for American Management Association. I do some classes of my own. So I've taken this mix and really just dove into the life that I wanted. I travel a lot for work. Well, I was traveling a lot for work. My miles are like dying as we speak right now. I travel a lot. I meet amazing people. I put myself into challenging and growth producing situations all the time. And sometimes I think almost too much. And then I'd say I need like a couple days to rest it off, but just constantly learning and growing and really moved into the life that I wanted and made my social relationships as well as my business relationships really what I wanted them to be. That's kind of the short story, but it's fairly complete.
Yeah, I remember connecting with you when you told a little bit of your story of that struggle of like being a mom and, but where am I? What's my purpose? And there's something a little more than that, because I definitely went through that struggle as well, and finding like our own purpose, a purpose aside from just being, and just being a mom is a big role, right? So sometimes we feel a little, yeah. So, but there's also,
go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say sometimes there's some guilt around that for some, right? Pursuing a profession and feeling like if that big role isn't your just purposeful, passionate role, that we feel a little guilty about that and then pursuing something else.
Right. It is an interesting dynamic. My husband's never felt guilty for following his passion and his career. Not once, right? Not once. Why do I have to, and I realize that I don't have to, that I'm choosing the guilt. I don't have to have that guilt. If I'm a happy and fully developed, formed human on my own, I'm a better mother. I'm a more connected mother. I'm a happier person. I'm a more connected wife. Everything else in my life is more fulfilling, which isn't to say some women really love being stay-at-home moms. I think it's fantastic. And that is the really most fulfilling thing for them. Great. For me, that I wanted some other things as well. And I think especially when it hit me the hardest is when my youngest went to school full days. And I was like, wait, what am I doing? Which, by the way, is such a privilege. It's sickening that I'm complaining about something that I know is absolutely a privilege. And yet something was missing, and it was me. I wasn't really there. I was kind of a little shadow just little, like I call myself a little Stepford wife. I kind of didn't look like that, but I felt like that I was just kind of going through the motions, with a smile, but there was nothing inside that was connecting.
Yeah. Yeah. I related that to that very well. And I'd say, privilege in some certain circumstances, like what you're talking about, the privilege to be able to stay at home, privilege is relative in that sense, right? So
Right.
it could feel like a burden to some. And
Right.
I certainly had great friends that it was like, that was their passionate purpose. And I saw it in them and they loved it. And I was like, gosh, I don't feel that way. I wish I could. I hung out with them hoping it would seep into me, and it didn't.
It's
But
not contagious.
yeah, it's not contagious. But one thing that you just said was so on point for me that I realized once I removed the guilt and pushed through, because that was just my own perception of it, right?
Totally.
I had so much more to give my family.
Oh my gosh.
Afterwards.
So much more. I was so much more present. I didn't have to fix things. I didn't have to control things. I just was a better listener. I was less snappy, all of those things. When I found myself, who knew? Right.
Yeah.
Hello.
It's the flow, right? That just kind of happens. And you never think you're going to have more energy by taking on another job. Another
Right.
profession, but you do.
That was such a shocker. I had way more energy because I loved what I was doing. So then when I was home, I was happier and I was, I cooked less, but besides that, everything else was much more connected and flowing. And I felt like I had more conversations that I wanted to have with my children and my husband. Yeah, it was profound.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's awesome that you made that switch not even switch. You added own to.
I added, right? I found someone, it was me.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about your coaching and what do you coach your clients on?
Well, I started my coaching business actually working with women, particularly women who were like not sure if they were happy in their marriages. They were considering getting a divorce. I started in that area, and I still actually coach some people in that area. And what happened is it kind of evolved. Is people would refer me to somebody else, and people come to you in coaching to talk about a lot of issues. Often they're very related. So now I do some executive work. I love work with couples. I do some teamwork. I do like a truly a mix of corporate type things and personal type things. But the interesting and fascinating piece is that, so a corporate person might hire me and say, I want to work on, developing my team. And we end up talking about their love life or their relationship with their children. And then the stay-at-home mom hires me to, help her with her relationship with her kids. And then she starts thinking of career things that she wants to do. So, with coaching, somebody might come to you with one thing, but so many other things come up. And what I really have found is when you change one area of your life, the other areas start to shift as well. And how maybe we're showing up in one place is probably how we're showing up in another place. And so it's a bit of a Wild West free for all in my coaching world, which I love. You never know what's going to happen.
Yeah, sounds like you like the change there.
I love it. Yeah, it's really fun. And I like the challenge of people saying, I'm so stuck. I've been stuck for 20 years. And I love that challenge to help them push through something that they've been stuck in or on for so many years, and helping them figure out why and then how they want to push through it.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's like, yay. We know what it feels like to be stuck, right? So
totally. It's such a heavy feeling, and especially when you're stuck and you're in your own stuff, your head is stuck and you say to yourself, I can't get out of this. I can't get out of this. And we've all had those times, and someone else can help you get out of it and look at it from a different point of view. That's what I love about coaching. It's just such a cool concept, and it sounds simple, but it's actually, unique and complicated.
Yeah, I have to say there's times that I wish I knew about this type of coaching when I was going through trying to figure out my life as a mom and a wife and a professional at the same time. It's
Totally.
yeah, it's certainly
I,
helpful.
I probably could have saved some money on therapy actually from that point of view. But I think of myself as a young woman and how I was getting so many mixed messages from society as a young woman, and certainly at the time when I got out of college. I wish I had. On the other hand, the journey was what the journey was supposed to be, and I'm where I'm supposed to be right now, and I was supposed to experience those things when I did, and it's all how it's supposed to be. So, but if I can help younger women do it earlier, I do.
Yes, yes, exactly. So you've got an interesting standpoint in that way that you do have the psychologist background.
Hmm.
So for
Hmm.
people who aren't, so you said, you could use a coach instead of a therapist or vice versa. What, tell the world what's the difference there?
This is such a huge thing that people ask me all the time. So certainly therapists could do what coaches do if they were trained in a coaching model. That coaches can't do what therapists do, though. So the big difference, and it's a little iffy to explain it because some therapists really use a model that's similar to coaching, which is like a cognitive behavioral model. And so many therapists use that, or positive psychology, which is very in line with coaching. So what some therapists do is very similar. I was trained as a psychodynamic therapist, which is a Freudian, inner conscious, subconscious things, which isn't really in alignment with coaching. But in general, therapists tend to focus on the past and process a lot in the past, which is so important and part of a lot of people's journey. As coaches, we tap into the past a little bit, but we're all about forward motion. Coaching is forward. The other big difference is, as a therapist, I was the expert and my clients or patients were not, so I would diagnose them. I could sometimes tell them what to do and give some advice. As coaches, we're equals with our clients. We're equals. I don't tell them what to do. I don't diagnose them. That I have total faith that they have the answers, and I hold space for them to learn and grow. So there's a little difference in hierarchy as well.
Yeah, that's great explanation in that. That's very helpful to understand that the differences there. So I want to tap back into something you said earlier, where you said, so you may be coaching a professional and then they end up going down the road of, working on their love life or coaching a mom, like you were saying. So with our unusual reality these days, I know for me, I've had clients go, well, I don't know that we need to be coached right now. And I encourage them to continue because, like you said, how you show up anywhere is how you show up everywhere.
Right.
But what are some of the themes you're seeing? Any differences in what your clients are needing?
For sure. For sure. I think, one is just like a holy crap, what does the future look like? There's a lot of that. There's a lot of I have so many mixed feelings in the moment. I don't know what to do with them. And I've had a couple of people say I want to put my coaching on hold for a little while just to clear my head, which that makes sense. Like if you're feeling overwhelmed and you don't even want to talk about it, then that makes sense to me. But I also say we can do some head clearing here as well when you're ready. But I think that all of us, we just got we got cut off at the knees. What we thought this year was going to look like and next year was going to look like is not going to look like that. And so everybody is affected in some way, whether it's with their children, whether it's with their career, whether it's both their health. I have clients who have health concerns and they're terrified. What am I going to do if I get sick? So many factors have suddenly come rushing in, and influencing anything that they were planning on working on is now kind of tenfold in what it looks like.
Yeah, so definitely some big overwhelming changes to some.
Yes, absolutely overwhelming changes. And I think overwhelming fears, and understandably so. You know, it's I've been working with some people who are planning on really a second career, right? And they were just waiting for the financial piece to be in place to hop into that second career. And all of a sudden, you know, the market crashes and their financial situation looks different. So they're like, wait, my second act is not looking like it's going to be a second act right now. What do I do with that? You know, like I have 2 kids home. I'm supposed to be an empty nester right now. I got 2 home with me, 2 of the 3. Also a husband home with me, and he's got all the stress. So it's you know, not just them, it's the people around them too who are suffering, you know, some really, really brutal losses, and some like graduation and no prom. And those are, you know, for an 18-year-old, that's a huge thing to have those losses. So it's just so many factors for people right now getting hit all over.
Yeah. So I have kind of 2 questions for you on that popped up. One, what's the main theme of how people are helping themselves, and kind of tagging along with that, how are you, what coping mechanisms do you use for yourself?
Should I not be saying wine and chocolate right now? Is this not the appropriate time to asking for a
Totally fine to say wine and chocolate.
That's my own. Uh, what the common theme when people start to think about, okay, oh my gosh, this is the reality. The first thing is just accepting that this is the reality. Like, you can't change this. This is what it is, right? This is what it is. And then asking themselves the question, okay, what can I control in this chaotic situation? You know, I can wear a mask, I can follow the rules of our local leaders and things like that. But what else can I do? I'm doing a group right now. I decided to do a free group, a coaching to help people who are really might have either lost their jobs or their industry might be devastated from this. And so really the theme is, okay, what skills do I have? What can I control? How can I get my resume in order? What can I think about myself and learn about myself that I can utilize to move forward in a clearly different world than we thought we'd live in. And I think for me, it's the same thing. I had this 2020 that I was like, this is my year, my finances where I wanted them to be, my travel schedule. It was my 30-year wedding anniversary. We're going to go to Hawaii for a week. I mean, like, I had saved up my airline points and my hotel points, and I had this like my daughter's college graduation and blah blah blah, and boom, gone, like gone. And I had to let myself mourn because I was really excited about that 2020. You know, it looked so good. And say, okay, so what's the new version look like? And you know, what can I control? And some of it is, yeah, wine and chocolate, but some of it is also, you know, maybe looking at different ways, different thoughts about our careers, different views on our families, all of those things. Like, I get time with the 2 younger kids that I was not thinking I would ever get again in my life. And that has been like such a huge blessing to have that.
Yeah, that's interesting. The part of like, what can we control, and like, we can't go back and change this, right? So
I wish we could.
it sounds like you had so many big dreams yourself this year, and that totally shifted.
Totally.
One of the things that you said that's intriguing to me is like, we've got to mourn. And I've had a lot of clients come to me and just say, I don't know, or even just friends, like, I don't know this feeling that I have. And really talking about it's grieving. Yeah. So
Grieving. Yeah.
yeah. So what kind of tips would you share on grieving, or just, I guess, accepting that we don't have control over the past?
Yeah. The main thing about grieving is to allow ourselves to grieve. And a lot of people say, I don't want to be sad. That feels uncomfortable to me. Well, pushing that down or pushing that away is only going to make it build. Instead of, you know, sometimes it's just perfectly okay to just say, I'm so sad. I wanted to do those things. I wanted my year to look like this. I'm so sad for my kids who are not going to experience some of the things that they so look forward to experiencing, and grieve it. Just be sad about it. And once you allow yourself to feel the feelings, the rest is relatively easy. Then one day you get up and you say, okay, I've done some grieving. I might do some more, but for today, what can I control? And that acceptance of what is, without judgment ultimately, is key. You know, right now we might still be in the judgment phase. That's okay. But I always say to people, think back to a time that you thought was the worst possible time in your life, and what did you learn from it? And now the same thing's going to happen, right? We can't see it when we're in it, but 6 months from now, or a year from now, or 2 years from now, whatever it looks like, we're going to look back and say, remember that coronavirus time? Oh my gosh, I learned so much, or I had this big change in my life happen, or I pursued this piece of my career that I never thought I'd pursue. Or, I got this time with my kids that I would never get again, because when they grow up, they move out, so I know that will come. We're not there yet. We're still in like, holy crap, I can't get my hair cut when I want to.
Yeah, as Brene Brown would say, maybe we're still in the messy middle, right? Like she
Right.
talks about embracing the messy middle, and the longer we kind of accept it and feel it and own it, the more the amazing things that will come out of it later.
Right. The more we open ourselves, the more we accept it and own it, the more likely opportunities will come our way, and we'll meet people, or we'll learn something about ourselves or others that'll, make a huge shift in our lives that we just can't see when we're in the messy middle.
Yeah. Yeah, we're in the messy middle. Cheers. Have a glass of wine and some chocolate.
Here's the messy middle.
Let's talk about it, right?
Let's have some chocolate and talk about it.
So any other ways that you yourself are helping yourself cope? Because that's for a profession of, you're going through what all your clients are going through right now, yet you've got to show up and partner with them to help them get through it. So how do you do that?
I really have practiced before I'm with my clients, and it's all, virtual, obviously. I do a little clearing, like, let's check in with Lisa, see what's going on with her, because I don't want to bring my own garbage to my relationships with my clients. I'm a big walker. I like to get outside. Any kind of movement really helps me. Periodic nap on the couch is in order. And just also let myself have my moments, and just, have the moment and then leave it out. Like I'm in my office right now, leave it out there when I come in here to help people, and be fully present for them. And actually, of course, it's more healing for us when we're fully present for someone else anyway. So it's a win-win.
Yeah, that's amazing. I've experienced that, especially in the beginning with my clients. There'd be days where I thought, gosh, I just don't know how I'm going to show up for them. But they taught me so much. And I get out of those sessions and I feel so much more energy and optimism. So
Totally.
it's kind of like my clients are my antidepressants, I call them lately.
Maybe we should tell them that, because then we're going to have to pay them.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly. That's funny.
Well, let's see. I think we'll get Andrea back in on here, because she has a few questions, I think, for wrapping up.
Yes, and Lisa, I was just kind of feverishly taking notes as you were talking, and another question popped up as well. So I want to make sure we get the opportunity to ask you this one. Any tips for helping us figure out, this is a loaded question, by the way, what should be, what is it that we should pursue? I mean, you were talking about a time in your life where, it just wasn't clear. You weren't really feeling like your full self, and you knew that there was more. Obviously, your job as a stay-at-home mom is a very important one. Of course, that's a very important job, but for you, it just wasn't the thing that fulfilled you. So what are some of those indicators, and what do we do to get us out of that, to start making that forward motion into figuring out, what is it that we should do? How do we continue moving forward down that path?
So it is loaded, because the should word, is when people say, what should I do? What should I do? I always say, well, we're shoulding on ourselves right now. So it's I always say when you feel that disconnect with yourself, or you just know you're not in alignment with who you are, what you want, that it's that gut feeling really of something's off here. Listen to it and sit with yourself and say, okay, what's off here? What's going on? You know, is something missing? Is how I'm looking at it missing? What's the deal here? And then, I always say to people, if there were no boundaries whatsoever, no financial issues, no one in your way at all, what would you do today? And people answer like that. I'm like, well, there's your answer. They do not even hesitate. Oh, I would do this. Oh, okay. Well, then how come you're not doing it now? Right? There's the big question. Yeah.
Great prompt. I like that a lot. Important. Well, Lisa, we are so appreciative of your time with us and sharing all this knowledge. This is helpful anytime, but especially right now, as we are all trying to shift our mindset and grieving during this time too. So we are so appreciative of your time and your perspective. I want to ask you a couple more questions before we wrap up. First of all, what is just the final bit of wisdom that you could share with us that you would that you believe would most impact us?
Oh, that's a hard question. I think this is such a thing that the young people say, like, I'm feeling all the feels. I'm a full fan of that. Like right now, the human experience is like nothing we've ever known in our lifetimes. Experience it. Just like bring it on. Feel it.
I love it. I'm feeling all the feels.
I'm feeling the feels.
Good. That's good. Well, so Lisa, where can we find you or where can we contact you?
Well, I'm in Chicago, but you probably don't want to come over right now. But you can find me lisakaplin.com. It's Kaplin. That's blame my husband for that one. lisakaplin.com is where you can find me. It's got all the information about if you want to meet, check up, whatever.
Great. Okay. We will drop that in the comments so that folks can take a look there. Make sure they have your contact information and where they can follow along too.
Great.
Yeah. Thanks so much for joining us, Lisa.
I loved it. It was so great to see you both.
Yeah. It's good to connect with you and see your face. So thank you.
Well, thank you, Lisa. We look forward to continuing conversations like these at the RTDM Facebook page. So please continue to join us on Tuesday evenings for these live conversations. If you're interested in sharing a story or you'd like to be featured within the RTDM project, please reach out and let us know.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.